There was a rota book up on the wall in our community care program about who was supporting her, who was giving her some help with her children or her parents, who was taking her washing down to the laundry to do her washing, who was going to accompany her on her oncology appointments. And this kind of got us to think about what are communities and how communities work, and how to, this idea in Britain, the sort of social workers or the government, there's this terrible saying in Britain that community died with the Blitz. That when the Second World War happened and all the houses got bombed and everything got rebuilt and communities got dispersed across East London, new housing on the edge of London, and whole working class neighbourhoods got torn apart. The community died at that point. And so we got to think, actually, this is nonsense, absolutely nonsense. You can absolutely create community. You need to create spaces where communities can come together. You need to create spaces where people can be, where people can build relationships, and people can start to develop mutually reciprocal relationships. It also got us into thinking that actually we could do a better job of providing healthcare for our community than the state was currently doing. So we said we wanted to build a health centre. We wanted to build a health centre as part of our integrated model. Now, interestingly at that point, the greatest opposition to us came from the National Health Service. That absolutely did not think that communities should be building health centres. It was remarkable. The degree of opposition we faced was absolutely incredible. And it was only when Andrew, who's this tremendously charismatic character, got the Minister for Health, Brian Mulwiney, down here to Bromley by Bow to talk to him about what we were trying to do here, that we got approval to build a health centre. Now, interestingly, at that point, it wasn't the NHS who built our health centre. We went to a bank and we said we want to borrow £800,000, we're going to build a health centre. And that's what we did. So we built what we think is probably the only health centre in Britain that is owned by the patients and rented back to the doctors. It's a remarkable story of community ownership. And so we created a health centre where we could design the health centre and we could turn it into part of this integrated model here. And then we set about finding some doctors who understood the social model of health. And we've got this tremendous set of doctors now who are based here. I'm going to just skip through very quickly. Do you have this concept in the Netherlands of upstream, downstream? No. You have? So most of what we provide is downstream. It's supporting people when things have already gone wrong. Yeah? That's how we provide services in our communities. That's what we call in Britain downstream. The water's flowing down the stream. Our argument is you have to go upstream to stop the problems happening. That's what we need to invest our money, our effort on, and we need to get away from, we need to rebalance our expenditure. Obviously you've got to support people when the problems have arisen, but you've got to start investing resources upstream. And for us that's about creating a vibrant community. So today we're a £4.5 million charity, and we have 150 staff. We provide a very, very comprehensive range of services here at Bromley by Bow, and welfare advice, legal advice, money management, social welfare, social care, a huge learning program, employment programs, advice around debt, something called time banking. Do you have time banking? No? Sorry?
There are some cities in
Right, okay. So time banking is this idea of creating a new form of money, but it's called time. So you exchange time. Yeah. You know this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we do lots of time banking here. But you were very interested in, I know, in social enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a tremendous program around social enterprise, which I'm going to give you a brochure on. This is our social enterprise program. But we have a program. Do you have a program on television in the Netherlands called Dragon's
Yeah.
Yeah. Where these people sit with piles of money beside them? Yeah. Okay, great. So we have a similar program at Bromley by Bow. So this is about supporting the establishment of new social enterprises. Originally, for the first 5 years, funded by the local authority, and when that money stopped, we built up a relationship with something called Investec, which is an investment bank. And the reason they were interested in working with us was because they did some similar work in townships in South Africa around micro-enterprise. And so this is a tremendously successful program that's actually, we just had another round last year, this is a bit out of date, it's 69 social businesses that we've set up now. So each year we have a round and we get about 1,000 inquiries each year. 1,000 people contact us who think they have an idea for a social enterprise. And then that turns into several hundred expressions of interest. And then we work with about the last 25 to develop fully worked up business plans with them. And then about 12 actually go to the Dragons. We don't sit on the panel because we've been working with them too closely already. So we have a panel that includes Investec. Now Investec put in £200,000 a year into this program. It employs 1.5 people to run the program, and it has 5 pots of £20,000 a year to give away. But the most important thing is that they don't just get £20,000, they get 2 years of business mentoring, including some very, very global, senior global people from Investec who help to support these businesses. Investec has absolutely no interest in these businesses. Well, it's interested in learning how business develops in communities, but they have no financial interest in them whatsoever. They're giving away essentially £200,000 a year. It's all, for Investec, it's all about understanding how new businesses are developing in our current economies. But this has supported absolutely huge numbers of businesses. And the remarkable thing is, the last 5 years, I think it's supported about 25 new businesses in the last 5 years, and only one has failed. So 24 have been successful. And they trade, actually this is slightly out of date now, they trade £5 million and have created nearly 400 new jobs in our community.
And what kind of businesses people set up?
Yes, so all sorts of things. Cafes, for example, social cafes. Quite a lot of programs mentoring young people, getting young people to develop better in school, for example. So taking graduates from universities and using them as mentors in schools, for example. We've got a lovely one called Cracked It, which is all about fixing mobile phone glass, the glass screen on mobile phones. If you send your mobile phone off to Apple, you lose your phone for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks and it costs you £150. This is a project working with young people who are on the margins of the criminal justice system, I guess. These are young people who are about to get into trouble. So it works with groups of young people, teaching them how to change the glass screens on iPhones. And then they go into the big firms in Canary Wharf and they spend the whole day fixing everybody's phones. And they get them jobs in the retailers, companies who are selling mobile phones, the shops as well. They get jobs in the shops. So this is taking so this was all set up by a social worker who had been working with young people, got a real understanding of young people. Of course, they're all fascinated by phones. This is their one gadget, I guess. So thinking about how you could do that and how you could start to create some income, because they can charge, if it costs £150 with Apple, you can charge quite a lot of money for fixing phones. So it starts to create jobs for young people. So there's another one that's using unused housing for temporary housing, for example, with social landlords, often on the housing estates, when they're going to renovate houses or knock housing down and rebuild. You often have housing left empty for sometimes months and sometimes years. They take all the old tenants out before they knock the place down or before they renovate it, and quite often these plans get delayed or whatever. So you have housing that's empty sometimes for years. So they put young people into these houses to look after these houses. They pay a very, very low rent. It's only for a time-limited amount of time. But the thing is that these young people, in exchange for the low rent, they have to volunteer in the community. So they have to give 16 hours a month of volunteering in exchange for getting the low-rent property for a few years.
It's called magic mixing.
Sorry?
It's called magic mixing in Holland.
Yeah, right, yes. Okay, and here it's called property guardianship. But most property guardianship's not like that, so this is very different because it comes with the volunteering. So there are all sorts of social enterprises. There's one that sells, this is, for you, this wouldn't seem anything strange, but there's one that sells bicycles. It repairs bicycles we're not like Holland, we're not a cycling nation, but so this is around repairing, selling, renting bicycles, doing cycling touring. They teach young people how to fix bicycles, how to build bicycles. They get all the bicycles from the police that nobody has claimed, and they strip them down and they rebuild them and sell them. They now have 2 shops. Now they have a turnover now of £1 million a year, for example, and that all started with a small grant. Breads and pastries and cakes, and they take the breads and the pastries and the cakes that were made yesterday that can't now be sold, and they sell them on to people like Bromley by Bow. If we're having a big reception or something like that, or a big event, we buy these pastries and cakes that are 1 day old. They're still absolutely fine, but the shop won't sell them anymore because, of course, they're 1 day old. So this creates a whole social enterprise around using really amazing food that would have been thrown away. It creates a whole enterprise about providing the catering for events, for example. So it's finding really interesting ideas like that, where somebody thinks, hang on, here's something that would work. The 3 criteria basically are that the person needs to have, when the panel are looking at these business plans, and these people have to, like in Dragon's Den, they have to do a presentation. Is the level of enthusiasm of the person, whether the business model is going to work, and what the social impact is going to be. And these are all social enterprises in the sense that the assets are locked into the enterprise. So they don't have any shareholders, and nobody can personally own the assets. The assets never belong to an individual. It's really like a hybrid between a charity and a company, if you like. That makes sense. But this is a fantastic way of getting people to think about the ideas that they've got in a community and thinking about the businesses that they can set up that provide services to their community and provide jobs to their community.
Are there also enterprises that are taking over government tasks?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a group of nurses in Tower Hamlets who set up an enterprise where they go in and do the wounds dressings on people when they've had operations and so on, and they set themselves up as a social enterprise. So they have a contract with the health system to provide nursing care as a social enterprise.
And the social part, is that still that the profit goes to the local population, or?
The profit goes back into the business.
Okay, that's the social part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there still a connection between Bromley by Bow and those social enterprises?
No,
okay.
These are all independent social enterprises. We can exercise a 5% equity stake in them if we want. Well, over the last few years. So if any of them become the next Apple or Google, we will be very happy. Well, maybe not if they become Apple or Google, but if any of them become very big, we'll be very happy.